crumpled the paper into a tight ball and took it to the underground garage where my car was stored, a couple of kilometers from the flat. The garage was divided up into individual bays by partitions of brickwork with steel grills across the front of each. It was the center of much social activity, for it was warm and well lit, and the owners of the cars frequently held parties down there, bringing food and drink and listening to music. But what interested me was that the place had been built to good Soviet standards, and the bricks had been so poorly laid that there were large gaps between them. Assuming that in due course my own bay would be searched, I shoved the paper into a crack at eye level in the communal area, leading to the exit. Now, even if my flat were raided and the book containing the second copy of my instructions were confiscated, I would still have the rudiments of the plan. On Tuesday, to reach the signal site on time, I prepared to set off at 4 p.m. Because the weather was so unsettled, I put on a grey raincoat and black rubber boots, as well as a peaked leather cap I had bought in Denmark, and now wore as an aid to recognition. To make it look as if I'd been shopping, I stuffed the 2 carrier bags with crumpled newspaper. Luckily, I was not a conspicuous figure. At 1.75 meters or 5 feet 8 inches tall, I did not stand out in a crowd, and although at the age of 47 I had lost much of my hair, my cap concealed the bald patch on top of my head. Nevertheless, as I left the tower block, my first essential was to make certain that no surveillance was behind me, using the technique known to the KGB as proverka, and to the Americans as dry cleaning. Because my car was off the road, having failed its annual technical test, I had to use public transport and went out on foot, walking 500 or 600 meters to the nearest shopping precinct. As always, I steeled myself not to look back. It was a fundamental principle of KGB training that one should appear unworried and give no sign of concern about being followed. The first shop I entered was a pharmacist. I moved from one window to the other and then to the counter, apparently in search of some item, but in fact to check what was happening outside. My next stop, a savings bank, offered an even better vantage point, as it was on the first floor, and a window on the stairs gave a good view of the street. I hovered there for a couple of minutes, went on to call at a food shop, and walked up a footpath between some small blocks of flats, as if heading for home again. But then I turned quickly into one of the blocks, went up the communal staircase, waited, watched from a window, came down again, and continued. I saw no sign of anyone following, yet it was still not safe to relax. I walked on, took a bus for a few stops, then hailed a taxi and went to the transport police station where I was supposed to make inquiries about my car. From there, I moved on to the block in which my sister Marina lived and went in, as if visiting her. But after a few minutes' observation from a window on the stairs, I came out again, caught the metro, changed trains once, and so, after 3 hours dry cleaning, at last reached Kievsky tube station, within walking distance of my rendezvous. By the time I took up position on the edge of the pavement at 7 p.m. precisely, I was feeling exceedingly nervous. Official limousines were pouring past along the big avenue, taking Politburo members home from the Kremlin, with numerous KGB officers in cars behind them. More KGB were undoubtedly on duty in plain clothes, studying the operational situation. Knowing this, I had to make a great effort to stand still and pretend to be looking for a friend, especially in that exposed position on the edge of the road. It would have been more natural to wait at the back of the pavement, against the wall. I held on for what seemed an eternity, but was probably no more than 3 or 4 minutes. Then I thought, all right, I've done it. Whether or not anyone had picked up my message, I could not tell, but at least I had gone through the procedure laid down.